Hi everyone, welcome to Frankenstein's Fabrics Mystery Block 12. This is December's block that we have skipped ahead to. And yes, it is January 2022, but we are still playing catch up. So today's block is our log cabin. And it is going to be a chance for you to use up any odd scraps you might have, but it is also a chance to use one of every fabric you have if you've purchased up to 13 fabrics. If not, I have used 10 fabrics so I've got a repeat of 3 of them. I'm not being too fussy about the layout of this one in terms of where colours go, where fabrics go. I've basically started in the middle, and as the blocks rotate out, I've sort of used the colours of the prints and sort of progressed on, but I'll show you that when I pan over to the table. If you have any questions about this block, please let me know. The notes will be in the files when the video is uploaded. Hopefully YouTube will play nice with us today, and the internet and the NBN and all of that jazz. With your log cabin block, I've got my rough notes here, but basically what it is the log cabin is the centerpiece, and then you rotate out and around in certain measurements to create the stepping out process. So they're the logs. So I will have all of this in the notes for you, but basically we're doing 1 of 3 cuts and then 2 of all of the other cuts. So it's fairly straightforward. And as they are just simply rectangles, I've left the cutting up to you. I have pre-cut everything so you don't have to watch me do 12 little rectangles. So I will set up the camera facing the bench and I will explain what we are doing today. Okay, so here you can see the 13 fabrics that I have cut out. So I have decided to start with my center square as a black square, and the reason being is that all my other fabrics and all my other blocks, there is a touch of black somewhere. The sashing that I will be using, and eventually my borders and binding and backing and bits and pieces, will also have black in them. So that's where I'm starting here. From this square, which is 3.5 inches, you will then move out to 1 log, which is 3.5, so 3.5 by 2. Now, as you can see, that fabric is my white background with my 2-tone pink pumpkins and my black cat. So what I'm doing is I'm going black, black, then I'm going into my pinks, and then I'm going into the next fabric that has pink, and then the white, so the white matches up with these, and then I'm going into my grey and orange with black, orange, orange, and then the pink is where I'm repeating. So I've got my step going this way. So if I had put another block on there, it would be this fabric. So this gives me my stepping out. If you wanted to play around with your layout, if you wanted to play out with fussy cutting, like I've got these 2 facing one way and I've got this one facing another, I'm not worried about this block, because as far as I'm concerned, when I actually go to put this block into the quilt, I don't know which way I'm going to face it yet. So it could be upside down, it could be left facing, right facing, whatever. I'm not worried about it, so I'm not going to panic about my fussy cutting. If you would like to fussy cut to a degree, decide which direction your block's going to go in. So use something that will indicate to you which way the block's going. So it would probably be this piece is your best bet. And so it's this piece and this piece that are joined together, that's your up. And then you can proceed to fussy cut as you see fit for the other pieces. Now, I will recommend that while you are cutting, that you use some smaller rulers. The biggest measurement that you are cutting is this one here, which is 12.5 inches long, which is the length of this ruler here. Just so that you don't have to manhandle a large ruler, just keep in mind that you've got some smaller rulers on hand. So back to the squares and the rectangles. So we have 3.5 inch square, 3.5 by 2 inch, We then go to a 5 by 2 inch and a 5 by 2 inch. Then we have 6.5 and 6.5 by 2 inch. 8 and 8 by 2 inch. We then go 9.5, 9.5 by 2 inch, 11, 11 by 2 inch, and 12.5 by 2 inch. So, basically with this block, what you're wanting to do is, it's going to take a little bit more time than our other ones because there's no chain piecing involved in this. You have to take it step by step. That's how this block is created. So we're going to join these two together first, press the seam. Join this one onto the unit, press the seam. Join, press, join, press. So you're going to be doing a lot of ironing. So if you want to set up your ironing board further away from your machine so you get your steps in, by all means. If you just want to get this block stitched out and done, pop your sewing machine and your ironing board close together and get cracking. So I will set up the machine and we will get going. Okay, so machine is all set up with our usual suspects: Aurifil in white, our Universal 8012 needle for piecing, our 1/4 inch foot, which I will move across to its position for my scant 1/4 inch. So, piece your first one. Now, if you were making multiple blocks like this, you could do chain piecing and piece each section, but that's up to you. So trim your threads. Now I'm just going to press this off camera because there's really no point in me swinging the camera around to show you one seam, but I'm going to press it to the center, so to the black square. So in this case, to the darker fabric. Now if you do want to press your seams open, you can do that, so to the dark. So I'm then going to take my next piece, and it's going onto the left side of my unit. Now you can pin, like I've always said all the way along. If you want to pin, by all means. I'm not a pinner. Sorry. So, just make sure that if you've pressed your seam underneath, that it goes the right way. Trim any threads and press. So basically the rule of thumb with a log cabin block is that we're starting in the center and working our way around. So the next piece will be stitched to the bottom. So once again, pin if you need to. Pop it into position. Press. Now, if you are pressing to your darker fabric, or pressing in towards the center in this case, you can continue doing so unless you have a fabric, say another white or something like that, that does not allow you to press to the dark side, or you've got a shadow or something like that. None of these seams are going to have to be abutted or anything like that, so you can just pop them in what direction you're either comfortable with or where the fabric would like to go. Now one other thing here is I'm using white thread so you can see it on the film, but if you best to coordinate with the majority of your fabrics. so this is now the last piece that I've just sewn then, the last piece that stitches onto your center. And you can see here now how it's starting to step around. So our next piece will be going onto the top. Which is our pink, dark grey and pink cats. And then we have our white piece going on the side. So, continue sewing. Now the reason why I've given you the instruction for a scant 1/4 inch on this one is because sometimes calculating the maths for your seam allowance in certain blocks can be difficult. So because I wanted a 12.5 inch raw edge finish, I had to be able to calculate at an even number. So I did the 2 inch. So it's our next one. Now if you do have some shifting, like I've got a tiny bit of pink overhang there, I'm not going to worry too much. Just hide it into the seam allowance. I'd like it all to be accurate, but if there's some movement, because fabric does move, let's be honest, it does have a mind of its own. Okay, now because this one's white, I'm actually going to press it in facing the other way. So you can see here that I'm alternating some of the pressing, but all of these 4 were in. This one's going out and this one's now going back in, and I'm just dictating this by the colour of the fabric. So our next one, we are now shifting into our oranges. And we are attaching to the bottom section of the block. And this is the one that I cut sideways because I wanted, I guess, more of the pumpkin. It just was a better colour. So flip it over, line it up. Trim away any excess threads. Now this one I'm going to press towards the grey and orange pumpkin print because it's attached to the white and I don't want to flip this to the white. So as you can see, just this little piece here is still on the white, so ironing it that way. Now we have our next piece, which is our light orange. So flip it over. Now the reason why I told you in the notes to get all of your scraps out is because you can, I did use some small pieces for this and some bigger pieces. But it was just a case of whatever fit. So it's up to you if you want to use scraps. I used a mix. Okay, so that one I've pressed out because that's the way it wanted to sit, and even though the pink fabric that is near it is quite dark, it is not showing. So we're nearly there. We have 4 more pieces to go. Now I'm doing these in pairs just because it's easier to keep track of where you're at. So we're now going our dark orange on the top. Remember to keep an eye on where your seams are flipping. You want to keep your block flat. Now I'm pressing this one into the dark orange fabric because it is attached to the white. So because my white is quite see-through, I'm just making sure that there's no shadowing going on there. So it's just this piece up here. And now we are into our repeat. So this is the last 3 sections. So we are going our light pink, now this one's attached to the white, so pressing out to the pink. It's totally a judgment call when you get to that stage of the pressing, so it's just my own personal preference, so you don't have to follow me if you don't or can't. Okay, so we are now at the last 2 fabrics. Our medium pink, which will go on this side, which is the right hand side of the block. The seams to the pink because that's the way it wants to go. Okay, so our last piece is our dark pink but in the 12.5-inch strip. So pop it on. Sew it down. Got a little bit of fraying going on with that fabric, so and press. So press this one out to the darker fabric. That's the way it naturally wants to go. Okay, so here we have our final log cabin block. Our center, working our steps around to our 12.5-inch finish like our other blocks. So if you've got any loose threads, anything you've got to trim up, if you need to take away some fraying, like I had a few little bits and pieces, clean it up, pop your label on, like the rest of them, and pop it in the storage box ready for when we're starting to assemble. Now, I will film next week November's block. I know we're working a little backwards here, but with all of the construction that's going on, the noise is just ridiculous. So I'm filming when I can, when there's good light and when there's no noise. So I will do my best. But in the meantime, let me know how you go. If there's any dramas with this block, please pipe up, let me know. And just one thing from the beginning of the video, I did say that this ruler was 12.5, it's actually 12. So just keep an eye on your rulers. I forgot that I had 2 different types. That's alright. So let me know how you go. Thank you for watching and participating in this series. We're not far off now, but it'll be another week for another block, and then we'll start to talk about sashing and borders and joining everything and working out your layouts and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed today's log cabin block. If you feel comfortable with fiddling with the measurements, by all means. One of the things that you will see in log cabin blocks is this center square is often smaller. So if you want to fiddle with the maths, go right ahead. If you want to add more fabric, more pieces of fabric into your selection. But see how you go. Thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you know that, and the bell notification so that you know when I'm uploading new videos. There are more things coming this year. 2022 is hopefully going to be different, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.